Good evening. All right, so for the B pillar, it is a little tricky to get everything to fit right. So the B pillar bracket is this long bracket here. Okay, I'll play it out here. So this one is the right hand side, and it'll get installed just like this, just like that. And that's one body mount, and that's the other body mount. Okay, then this block here will get mounted like that on top of there. Then that assembly will fit up inside underneath the body, and then you've got to use that template that I showed you in the previous video on top of this, and then you got to line these 4 holes up to get it all bolted together to make it look like the left side, which is, I just finished the left side just a second ago. All right, to get it to look like that. So now the tube will weld on top of this plate, right? So there's a notch right there if you can see it. So the B pillar tubing will meet here, and I'll weld it to this plate. Hopefully start getting things tacked this weekend. But to get that plate in there like that is not as easy as it looks, and there's one thing that's in the way, and it's this drain. The drain hole I mentioned earlier, this piece. So you see this half moon piece here. Well, that block and this plate, well, the plate's not a big deal because it's on top of it, but that block has got to smash up against this from the bottom. So in order to do that, you got to get rid of this curve. You basically got to make it straight all the way across here. And the best way to do that, let me find my Sharpie quick. The best way to do that is to cut a V. To cut a V in the material. Use the mask here. I'll just use the black one here. Thought I had a blue Sharpie out. Yeah, it's right here. All right. So you cut a V in the material like this. So you take your Sawzall and go from this corner out to about here, and go from this corner out to about here. If you make those 2 cuts, then you can peel the middle portion up. You can peel it up, and then you can flatten this out, this section here. This section. You can peel it up with a pry bar, which is what I did. Use a pry bar. So you can actually peel that up, get this up out of the way, get the block in there, and then you can, once you get the block underneath the tub, then you can use a hammer and hammer all this flat. I wish I would have taken a picture of that one. Maybe I'll take a picture before I close this one up the next time. But if you don't do that, nothing will fit. So you got to follow this step. And I called GenRight, and they're going to make the instructions a little bit more clear. And in fact, they're going to update all the pictures and everything. So there's not very many people that have installed this other than GenRight right now. So it's all new to everybody. So this half moon is, you got to get rid of it, and it's really easy if you just make the cuts. Make that cut, peel it up, hammer this flat, hammer that flat, and then you're good to go. Now the instructions will tell you to drill holes big enough for a 3/8 bolt, and I'm telling you, you're going to want to go to at least 7/16 to give you enough wiggle room to make sure everything fits together. In fact, that's what I ended up doing, was cutting the holes bigger than they said in the instructions, and it worked out. Now, one thing that you really need to do that I didn't mention at all before is all of these parts that you painted black, right? All of these parts you painted black. Before you try to use them, make sure you go through every hole and clean them out with a tap. Or when you paint them, shove some ear foamies in there, or do something so you don't paint the threads. Just make sure you do that, because if you don't clean them out, you're going to run into problems. I ran into a problem, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to do that. So I ended up having to use my tap to tap this one clean and then she was good to go after that. But it was keeping me from getting it done smoothly. So once I cleaned it out, it was good to go. Anyway, just an important tip: if you paint, clean the paint off your threads. I think that's it for the B-pillar update for now. Outside of that, it's pretty much good to go, I think. The body mount bolts, they all slide back in the holes just fine. All that is good. So I'm going to do the other side, and then I'll probably start the other side in the morning, and then I'll have both A pillars and B pillar done. Hopefully by tomorrow afternoon I'll be done with all the landings. I can clean up the garage, clean the Jeep, vacuum everything, get everything clean and recovered up, and then start tacking tubes in place and go from there. Another thing, I may just save it for the A-pillar video, but just a quick thing. You're going to need chemicals when you go to put this thing back together, right? So like this foam stuff here, this material, I don't even know what kind of body sealer or adhesive that is. I need to figure it out. But you have to take the little plastic pieces off the corners. These guys have to come off the corner on each side in order to drill the holes for the A-pillar, which I'll cover tomorrow, because that's going to be a huge pain in the ass. This material right here, this roll cage material, is what they call work hardened. So if you drill it fast, it actually the material gets harder as you heat it up. So if you try to drill through it really fast, like, hey, my drill's cutting really good, what you're doing is you're actually hardening the material and you're making it harder, and you'll end up dull your drill bits, and you'll need 2 or 3 drill bits just to do the job. So this particular alloy, you need to drill very slowly on your drill setting, like the lowest setting that you have for your drill, and use more pressure, right? Low speed, high pressure, and it should drill it just fine after that, especially if you use a carbide tip or carbide bit. All right, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.